I love adding stitched elements onto my junk journal pages because hand stitching just adds a little bit of charm and magic. There's no pressure, there's no need for expert skills, you don't even need a sewing machine. All you need is a needle, some thread, and a few paper scraps. So let's dive into how you can add stitching elements just like this to your own journal. Hey, it's Meg, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing day 7 of the Junk Journal January challenge. As you might have guessed, the prompt is stitched, and I'm just showing you here some examples of how I use stitching in my junk journals, and you can see it's nothing fancy, it's nothing super complicated. I really just like adding little textural elements to the edges of my pages. That's where I normally add it because I like the fact that you can see it from the edges of the pages, and it's also just the easiest way to add and sew onto your page. You can also do, I've done before, like little crisscrosses or stitching in a straight line, but going around the side of a page, or in the case of today's video, I'm actually going to make a sort of oversized, I guess, journal card to go inside the pocket of this page that I've got. And I'm just picking out there the thread that I wanted to use. I went for something that would really pop and contrast with everything else that I had going on. So the base that I'm using is, I'm actually taking from this scrapbook pad. It's a 12 by 12, and there's always these random designs of like cards or little journal spots that sometimes I never know what to do with, to be honest. I like using the pattern papers, but when it comes to these bits, I don't know if it's just my style of journaling, I tend to struggle with them. So I wanted to try and use one of them for this page, and I really liked the daisies, I think they are, on the darker background, but I wasn't a fan of the wild pink floral pattern that was going on the background. So what I decided to do was back it onto just a brown paper envelope in true junk journal style, of course. So I'm just adding glue to the back of the card here, and this also adds a little bit of reinforcement and just some like texture as well, and I think keeps it more in keeping with the style of the journal that I've got going on. So I'm just cutting off the excess of this card here, and what I'm going to actually do is do my stitching onto this card. And I thought I would work on the card and the envelope page itself, but I actually ended up having too much fun with just this card and adding so many embellishments down the side as well. Like, I really got into it. You'll see as we go throughout the video, I added so much to the edge of this card. It was really fun to do, and I don't quite know what I'm going to call this, because it's not collage, because we also have some fabric ribbon that came into this as well as my stitching, and some postage stamps and some of my faux washi strips, and it was all going on this card. But I started off just with my stitching, and I really liked this pink, especially against the brown paper here as well. So all I'm doing is I tied off the end of the embroidery thread, and then what I'm doing is just pre-poking some of the holes going across the edge of the card here. Now, I didn't go all the way along. You could of course go all the way along or even all the way round a card like this if you wanted to, but I just sort of went about a third of the way-ish up the side, and then all I'm doing is wrapping the thread around as I go, so in one side and then around and out the other. So after I'd done my stitching, as you'll have seen, I then added some of this ribbon to the edge of my page, and I really love the shine of the thread in this ribbon, and I just decided to tuck it around the side long ways. So I was debating whether to have it as a little bit of a pull tab to get it out of the pocket, but then I just decided to use it as a way of extending kind of the whole cluster, I guess, of things that I've got going on the edge of this journaling card. And I came in with some of this faux washi that I'm loving using. I'm definitely going to need to make some more of this to go with my journaling for this month. I'm loving using this as just a pre-made, super quick and easy way of adding collage and texture to my page. So I'm just checking there that it all fits within the page. Now this pink ribbon or lace, I'm not sure what you would quite call it, I absolutely love the colour and the little flowers that's on it, so I decided to cut some off, thinking that maybe I would add this as a bit of a layered effect and really lean into the cluster of all these different textures that I had going on the page, but ultimately I just felt like it was a little bit too much. Even for me in my kind of layering, put all of the things on the page phase. So I just decided to keep it as is, as I'm showing you there. But what I did add was a stamp, and I actually layered it over the top of the ribbon. And I really like the effect of sort of merging the fabric and the ribbon with a paper collage element. I really like the contrast between the different textures alongside the edge of the tag, and what I decided to do was wrap it around the side here, as you'll see, and then I just came in with my stapler and stapled it to the page itself. I know I'd already stapled along the edge for the ribbon, but then I just thought that this would be the easiest way, because I knew that if I just used my Pritt Stick glue and I glued it around the ribbon, then it probably wouldn't stick. Or it might fall off, so stapling it in this instance was the best way to make sure that it stayed in place, and I think it added a really nice pop of vintage charm to the page as well. So I have this book of, it's like stickers, but they are the material of washi tape, and I've used them before, and I always get questions about where this book is from, and I wish I could tell you, but it was gifted to me from somebody who has no idea where they got it from, because they got it secondhand at a charity shop. You can probably search and find similar things like this online, maybe on eBay or places like that. I wish I knew, because once I'm done and used up all of these beautiful illustrations, I definitely want to get some more. So if you know where to get things like this, or you've seen things like this before, please let me know, or let everybody else know in the comments where we might be able to find things like this, because I just thought that adding this to the brown paper here gave such a nice effect, especially because it almost felt like it melted into the page itself. And I was of two minds whether to fold it round or to just chop it off at the edge, and I decided to carry it round, and I think it gave a nice effect actually to add that bit of detail on the reverse. And then I had this spare strip that I'd cut off of excess from the top, and I just kind of used it a little bit like makeshift washi tape and just added it as another layered element. And sticking to the theme of washi tape, I just came in with a few little scraps just to add some extra details and colours to this page, or rather to this journaling card that I'm working on. And I think it was a really nice way to do one of the prompts and not have to do a full page necessarily for one of the prompts. I've done it in previous challenges where I've just worked on something that tucks inside of another page and use that for the individual prompt. So if you ever don't feel like working on a particular page, or you're stuck for what to do that would take up like a whole journal page spread, then you can definitely just work on a tag or like this, a journal card, as a way of being able to still work on the prompt but not commit to actually working within your journal, or not working like straight in your journal. Because what I could have done perhaps was maybe like glue this in and add it as almost as if it's a page within the journal, but what I'm going to do is tuck it within the envelope that I have there. And I was being quite indecisive and I couldn't decide what I actually wanted to do with the envelope itself, because I thought about like coffee dyeing it or tea dyeing it, but then because the envelope is so thin, I didn't want to spoil the page on the other side, because I quite like the contrast where you've got that like white negative space, and I knew that if I coffee dyed it then that would seep through, which I guess isn't the end of the world. Sometimes I do like when that happens, but I didn't necessarily want to do that. So I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this envelope, because it's really bright white, I think, especially just against that book page there on the right hand side. And I'm not sure what to do. Maybe I'll do some collaging on it, or maybe I could paint it. I don't know. Let me know down below in the comments what you think I should do with the envelope. Should I go in and do the coffee dyeing and just see what happens? I'm not sure. So I'm just adding some final touches here. I just kept like fiddling and adding different bits to this collaged journal tag, because I couldn't decide where I was going to go with the actual page itself. So there is the finished journal card. Like I said, it kind of pops in there, and the way that the envelope has the flap kind of as part of the page in front, it means that you can then see that collaged scrappy stitched border there on the left hand side, which I really enjoy. So thank you for joining me as always. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.